Hello. You know what? It never says 3, 2, 1. So it's like,
No,
okay, wham, we're
it's
there.
just,
So
you're there.
good morning. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm great. Yeah, last week was weird. You were so prepared and ready to do the show, and then Facebook wouldn't do the whatever it does.
Yeah, it did not want to play with Zoom. Not from my corner, at least.
Yeah. So yeah, last week Lisa was filling in for me because Bill was having some surgery on his face. He had just to fill you guys in, I don't ever hold things back, but he had like a cyst on his right here on his eye. And the dermatologists have been watching it for actually like 2 years. And then the last appointment, and they said, I think it's about time we do something about that, because it was not like growing big, but it was beginning to grow because they were measuring it every time. So last week was the week. And so we went to a plastic surgeon, which was pretty funny from the standpoint of when they gave us the referral name. And I'll tell you, my brain just sort of left me. Doug Cusack, who Bill used to play golf with when we lived here before. So it's like,
That's funny.
small world, get back to Kansas City and get back into names and people that we knew before. So anyway, he's doing fine. They sent it out to pathology, of course, but they don't anticipate it being anything. It was just one of those things that was there, so once it gets all healed up. But he looked like somebody socked him. Somebody said, "Is your wife beating up on you again?" Y'all know it's not true, but it was pretty fun.
You don't beat up on him?
No. I probably try to hug him too much. He's not a big hugger, so I'm always hugging on him. So anyway, who's out there this morning? Anybody out there to say a quick hello so I can want to make sure that I can actually see? Kathy Weaver, there you are. So glad. Thank you. Yes, thank you. We are very grateful. Anytime you go under, then they put him out. I mean, like anesthesia over the face, the whole thing. So the first day, if anybody's ever had any surgery stuff, usually the first day after, you're still, you're feeling pretty good, because I think some of that anesthesia and stuff's still in your body. But the second day, he was like under whatever, he just had to rest all day. But that is what the doctor said. Rest, don't do anything, don't put your head down, and don't be lifting things off the floor, all of that. So anyway, he is doing fine. And
We're glad.
Kathy and I had lunch this week. It was so great to be back in person. Hi, Barb. Good morning. So Barb, now it's time for you and I to have coffee. It's been too long. I'm here now. And the update on the house, which Kathy knows already because I told her lunch. So y'all, we are in contract on a house, which is the best one yet. I was getting a little frustrated, in case y'all didn't know, just trying to find it. And I before we found this house, I was just praying. It's like, okay, Lord, I'm here. I'm ready to do your will while we're here. Whatever you want, we're open to it. But, Lord, anytime now would be nice, being my not so patient self. And I remember in particular, just really praying like, Lord, you always, and I went through in my mind and in my prayer of all the different times that he has just come through. When I think, where are you? Like, okay, Lord, I'm here. And I know, in your head that he is, but sometimes it's like, okay, so I said, Lord, I just want to walk into a house and say, oh my gosh, this is it. And y'all, that's exactly what happened. The house went on the market like on Monday morning. I saw it first thing at 6:30 in the morning. And I don't remember which Monday, a week ago, 2 weeks maybe. In any case, got a hold of the agent and I said, I need to see this. She says, well, I'm not available because I'm up in Liberty. And I said, I don't want this house to be another one that gets sold out before I even see it. So she arranged it was her dad's house. So she arranged that he would let me in the house. And like I said, I knew immediately, like, oh goodness, this is it. So thank you, Jesus. Thank all of y'all who were praying for me. We, and I'm not anticipating any problems because this is the one it's meant to be. So it's just gonna happen.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Lisa, what's been going on with you? And I know Lisa is gonna do her talk to us today about being mindful and time, not so much time management, but just a different little tweak, different way of looking at it. But before you start in and enlightening us, because you always have such great things to say, what's going on with you? Anything you want to share with us just about what's happening in your life?
Well, I appreciate water a lot more because our water main on our house broke outside. And so we were without water for 2 days, two
Oh
and a
my
half days,
goodness. Oh,
which seems, I mean, that's like a petty amount of time. And we had water storage too. So I had tons and tons of water storage throughout my house. But the thing that I discovered is I really enjoy running water.
yeah, like, oh my
So,
goodness.
so I'm grateful to have that back. Other than that, everything's been normal and we're just waiting for the baby chicks to start laying eggs soon.
The baby chickens?
Yeah, well, they're not babies anymore, but yeah.
But you have new
Yeah.
chickens that are getting ready to lay their first eggs?
Yeah, we got 7 chickens when the girls came last time. So I guess that was our project. And so yes. So Penny, Penguin, Heidi, Honey, Pumpkin, Chip, and oh, what's the other one? Anyway, evades me. Anyway, they're all about to lay eggs here soon. They've been checking out the layer boxes. It's absolutely adorable because they're too small to lay yet, but they're just looking in that layer box. I think I'm supposed to do something.
What? So cool. What an experience that is. Like, oh my gosh. I'm gonna fix my up here. All right. So Lisa, talk to us. Talk to us about being more mindful in what we do.
Well, a lot of people think of time management as these, checklists and systems and all these things that are tangible that we do. But really, a lot of time management has to do with the mind. And that's why I teach paradigm shifts rather than systems. And so if you can get down what it is that's happening in the brain that's causing you to use up time in different ways. I don't like the word inefficiently because it's not really, charity and love and all those type of things. It's not as much about efficiency as it is getting done what you want to get done and having it have value, and bring joy to you. So I like to think of it more in those terms. If you are happy with your schedule and it's doing what you want it to do, then I think you're in a good place. But if not, then there are some things you can change in your mind.
So in other words, if I hear what you're saying, don't beat up on yourself just because you don't have a system or a thing like other people do with their calendars. And you know how we've all been probably to classes where they teach this and I think, man, I am so doing this wrong. Instead of beating up on ourselves, look and try to work your time or use your time that works for you. Would that be right?
Yes. And in a way that, we want you to get to the end of the day and have joy. And I mean, that's just the objective there. So anyway, so the first thing that I tell people about mindset is to have a clear vision. And there's many ways that I teach that with valuation and a couple other things like that. But a lot of people think that change equals improvement. And it doesn't necessarily. So what we want to do is have a clear vision. That's why in the video I made, I kind of did a cheap plug for your book, because this is about creating that vision, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, and I like the fact that your book brings people down that progress to look at what is it that you really want in life. I think we always think we know that, but when you go through some of the exercises in your book and some of the things that I tell people about, you want it to be clear. so that you are moving in your, the goals and the things that you're doing move you towards what you want. So that's why the next thing that's a mindset situation is that you need to know your priorities. And in order to know your priorities, you have to focus on your values. And, a lot of people are like, oh, I know what my values are. But that's why I give them that activity where you choose 5 of your values. Okay. And you don't get more values and you can't have less. Like somebody can't just cop out and say, well, God's my first priority. And yes, he is our first priority. But the thing is that put some things in place that start to be guideposts to your dreams and the things that you're doing each day, and really stick to that. And you'll find that if you can just do that in your mind, it starts eliminating other things. Any comments about that?
No, I'm just gonna keep listening here, and then I'll okay. I want to just kind of take it in for a minute. I will say, Dr. Laura says, don't let others dictate what you do. And
yeah,
certainly we all, I know I do. I get caught where other people are starting to make demands on my time. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah, she's anticipating the next one, which is part of that is lose the urgency. And in losing the urgency, it's like everybody's like, well, yeah, but urgent is what drives me going, keeps me going. It's urgent. But if everything is a fire, then you're in a reactive mode. And if you're in a reactive mode, you're not in control. So if other people, like Laura was saying, if other people are pushing you and dictating what you're doing, you're in a reactive mode and you're not really getting your goals done. You're just reacting to your world. And so there's an incredible power in just kind of taking a moment to pull everything in and say, okay, this is not urgent. Like just switch off the little fire alarm and start auditing your schedule and seeing what really works and what doesn't. There's a law called the Pareto law that says 20% of your inputs or 20% of your effort create 80% of your results that you want. And it's the Pareto laws, because I'm one of those people who's like, well, if you tell me a law, I'm going to prove it or disprove it. And you can go anywhere all over the place and you will find that law annoyingly in so many different things. And it's true that there's a lot of our inputs create a very little of our inputs create a vast majority of our results. So if you can start looking at your life and saying, okay, I'm doing these 2 things are creating the most results. Can I improve on doing those 2 things to get more results? So looking at your life and not just having everything be urgent and reactive, and then start looking and saying, what is actually making things move forward? Like for instance, I have a lady that I know that she cleans her kitchen about 4 times a day. I love a clean kitchen, don't get me wrong. And so when we were in her kitchen one day, she says to me, man, I just don't have time to do all the cooking that you do. And I said, well, that's because I don't have all the time to do all the cleaning you do. And she's like, well, yeah, but you have to have a clean kitchen. I'm like, yeah, I clean it once a day and I wipe down my counters with, sanitizers and things like that. But to her, every single crumb, every single thing was urgent. So she didn't have time to make homemade bread. She was busy cleaning her kitchen 4 times a day. And I'm telling you, it was more than stainless. You could do surgery in her kitchen and it was beautiful that way. But it's like, it's still, you have to start to weigh out the things. And that takes us to our next thing, which is that you have to purge the waste. You have to start looking at yourself and saying, what can I do to get more time in my life? And you use your values to do this. Can I eliminate this task? Can I automate this task? And can I delegate these tasks? And if you're one of those people that has to do everything because you're the only one who can do things right, then that might be a place where you have a mindset change. And so that kind of brings us to another step, which is to stop struggling. And I know that sounds kind of funny. It was like, well, why would you stop struggling? Well, quit struggling in tasks that you don't know how to do very well. So either get some training to help you do it faster or delegate it out. And I noticed that a lot of people, especially business women, have trouble wanting to spend the money to delegate it out. And so because they would rather sit in front of their desk for 12 days trying to put together a marketing piece than to pay somebody for a few hours to get it done. And if you're doing that, yes, you may not have the budget, but there are other ways to stop struggling. Like you could make a trade. I could make, like with you and me, we trade to do things where you know how to teach me how to do public speaking. I don't. And I help you with some of the things about the technological challenges on computers sometimes. So we can do trades to make things so that we stop struggling. But the mindset is you have to let go. You have to let go of some of the old patterns in the mind that we cling to.
I think that's really true, Lisa. And I think that so often, it's that society is a little bit of a problem with that, in that we've gotten to this thing where we feel like we have to do it all. We have to be superwoman, and we're going to do all the things, and it all has to be perfect. So all day it is reaction, reaction, reaction. I've got to do this, and at the end of the day, there's no joy. There's no joy there. It's frustration. Like I'm exhausted. I've been busy all day, but I didn't do anything. Meaning that we didn't do the things we really wanted to do because we were reacting, and we didn't look at the things that we actually could release. I think that's one of the biggest ones, is we don't even realize it, I think, sometimes. And I know I have to stop periodically and look at, where am I spending all my time? And that brain dump that you've taught us to do in the past, just dump it all out there and then look at that. Where are you spending your time? And if in your priority thing, if you're spending 80% of your time not lining up with your 5 main priorities, that's a good indication of why you're feeling frustrated. So get rid of it one way or the other. Do you really need it? Is it really that important? Like you said, can you automate it? Is it worth whatever, $50 a month to be on a program that will actually automate some of these things to, for you? Like, for instance, even on your customer base, just you want to send out, and there's all kinds of cards you can literally send out cards and Pix and Go and all various others that you can do, but also just in a customer, what is that called? Where they send it out, you put it in there and they can send birthdays to everybody on their birthday, just a little welcome message. CRM.
Like CRM.
Just
Customer relation management.
Just that little release that you could probably make up that $50 or 20, it might even be that $25 pretty easy somewhere else. And it could take just that little bit off of your shoulders, and look at other ways to do
exactly. Terry Ann Porter said, working urgently, I cannot give it my best friend. So she can give it to her best friend, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Kathy,
clarify that for us.
And then Kathy said, I have heard that some people have control issues, but we do not know any, Kathy.
We don't.
So no. And Lori Christine says, where do expectations come in? So I would put expectations. I don't know if you're meaning expectations from other people or expectations from yourself, but that would go into our values and priorities area, where if we have an expectation for ourselves. Now, expectations from others they still get measured against your list. I hate to say this, your values and priorities list. And that's why in the time management, one of the biggest chapters is learning how to say no. And that it's okay to say no. Permission to give yourself, the fact that you can turn somebody down on something. And that it doesn't always have to be urgent either. I mean, if you have kids, then everything that they bring to you is urgent. If you have a husband, everything he brings to you is urgent. So if those expectations from other people are pulling you down too, then start managing those, because that's our last thing in the list, which is self-care. So schedule your escape. In other words, you plan how you're going to get out of things and take some care for yourself. Sometimes that just means rudely shutting the door on people and going in and taking a soak in the bathtub with candles and music and, having your Calgon moment, which nobody will understand unless you're old. But
I was
anyway,
gonna say, I wonder how many young people even know what that is. And when we were growing up, the commercial of, oh, Calgon, take me away. And it was like bubble bath. It wasn't bubbles though, but you put it in your bathtub and it smelled good. I think it probably had lavender and stuff in it. Just a way to escape for whatever, 15 minutes to just let your body relax, let your mind just breathe, and breathing is a big part of that. I think sometimes we just forget to breathe, just really those deep breaths of the cleansing breath that it does. Even right now, when I can just feel a release of what it does inside your body. And, you might have to do that several times during the day if you're in a stress point, where you are. And I know Alicia's on here today, so to say she's in one of those. Her husband got transferred. I'm moving to Vegas. Okay, have y'all heard? I'm moving from Vegas here to be with my kids and my grandkids. The house sells, we get here, and what happens? Alicia's husband gets a job promotion, which is amazing for him. It's great. I'm so proud of him. But really, take my daughter away when I'm just getting moved here. So that's been kind of hard. But her house just sold. She's on her way there tomorrow to go look at houses there. It's like, wow. So she's feeling a lot of that. So she probably needs to be doing some deep breathing moments.
Cleansing,
and everything is in a urgent. And I think one of the things, Lisa, when you're talking about urgency, is maybe take a moment and ask the question to yourself: is this urgent for you or just urgent to somebody else? Particularly in a working situation, somebody can come in your office or somebody that's on your team and they just have this urgent thing they just have to have now. And it's like, okay, so now is this really urgent for me, or can I just direct them someplace? And in Mary Kay, the first couple of years as a director, I did a lot of taking their stuff upon myself. They brought it to me. And so I'm thinking I have to fix it and I have to do it. Well, after a couple of years, I realized that what I needed to do really was just show them how to do it so then they can do it. And I know Kathy is really, really good at this. So.
Yes, definitely. So Terry clarified, she says, I cannot give my best effort when working urgently. And that is so true. And then I love this quote. She said, poor planning on your point does not constitute an emergency on mine.
And isn't that the truth? It's like, oh my gosh, because they didn't get it done. Now it's on your lap, right?
Yeah. And in my time management, if you call it a system or anything like that, it's really, like I said, it's more a mindset. But even in the mindset, I show people how to prepare their day to expect emergencies. In other words, even if you have emergencies, and we all have emergencies, like my water main broke and it was,
that is an emergency.
Yeah. So I had to deal with that, and it has messed up my schedule. But you can prepare for those type of things in your schedule ahead of time, knowing that each day probably is going to have some type of minor surprise for you. Every day does. There's always something that moves your schedule for you a little bit. Okay. So what I do is when I'm planning my day, I plan for fire alarms by only having so many steps in my day that only take up some of my day, not my whole day. And then that way I don't become frustrated with the fact that there are things that come into play. I'm now more in a proactive role than a reactive role. And that's where you want to be. You want to be, joy comes and peace comes from not thinking that the world controls you. When I have to tell you this. So I'm going through in my genealogy, you know, I brought back 1,000 boxes from my mom's house. And so I've been going through this one box that has letters from when my dad was over in Saudi Arabia and we stayed in America. So there was letters going back and forth. And one of the things is I'm going through these letters. This is my letters, and I'm 17 at the time. This is Sarah's letters. She's 11. My mom, my granddad, my dad. And I noticed that probably 70% of these letters start with, sorry, I'm busy. This has been so busy. My whole week has been busy. And I thought, oh my goodness, my whole family's in a reactive mode. Because your life doesn't feel as busy when your mindset is proper. It feels controlled. And that's the part that gives you peace when things are bubbling over and all that kind of stuff. Somebody asked me when I was at church, you know, how come you can handle having no water? And it's like, well, first of all, I prepared, I have water storage. So we had, 50 gallons of water set aside. And then the other thing is that I just, when problems like that come, I had ways to plan to move things aside and do what I needed to do to get things done. So it meant more time because you have to, hand water my chickens out there in 111 degrees and all those different things. But I still was calm and at peace and wasn't a big deal. My mindset is that, yes, the dishes are sitting there. I got out paper plates and paper cups. And so see, preparation and just making things not such a big deal. I knew I could get my laundry done on Monday. I could move some things around. People understood. It's hard to do sometimes if you have to have control over everything and the whole world seems like it's collapsing each time something interrupts. But plan for interruptions. Take some time. I even took some time to wind down. I went in my genealogy room, shut the door, turned on my music, and went, okay, now I'm not going to pay attention to my water main problem. So, just things like that help the mind to handle the time. And when you're, if you're at peace too, you're going to make better decisions on your timing also.
I think that's true too. It's like if you, and when those kinds of things are happening, you can just like take that moment to just ground yourself. Like, okay, so here are the things I can do. I can't control the fact that the water main broke, but what can I do to make things a little bit better right now? And handling things in a calmer as opposed to, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? That kind of thing. You can't get anything done in that kind of mindset. And then the frustration and what it does to your body, and it physically affects you. So when we can, again, ground ourselves, and because we're women of faith, it's like, okay, Lord, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do here, but just guide my steps as I go through the day. Give me some peace to deal with what I need to. It makes such a big difference because then your hand, like you say, you actually are being proactive to the reactive thing that happened to you.
Yeah. Well, and Kathy Weaver said, go with the flow with some hearts on it. And then Laura Christine said, it's all perspective, and it is perspective. And that's what that mindset is that, God is behind us on all things. So you can feel that strength with him there a lot better. But it's just our mind controls everything in our life. So that mindset is super important to start training. And a lot of people say, who are control freaks say I can't do that. And that's just not true. Yes, it will be harder for you. Like it's harder for me to learn how to write a book because I have certain challenges in that area. So writing a sentence and learning how to spell and learning all those different things, that's hard for me. I can I put your car together, I can do all those kind of things. But writing a book is super hard for me. It's not, I can't do it. It's hard. So when it comes to the other things in your life, if you're a control freak and you say, I can't relax, I can't do this, I can't do that, it's not true. It's just that it might be harder for you to do those things. But, as we know, with God, all things are possible. Especially if I can write a book.
For sure. And just because you've been told all your life that you can't do something doesn't mean that's true either. And many times it's the opposite. Just because they can't see that. Oh, saw a great movie. Okay, I'm going to do a little plug because it's exactly what we're talking about here. I just saw the movie The Hill this weekend, and it's about a man. Well, anyway, he was born with his legs. He had to have braces on his legs from very beginning as a little boy, and they never did say if it was polio or they never said what it was. But anyway, his dream from the time he was a little boy, and they say in particular by 9 years old, he wanted to be a pro baseball player. That's all he wanted. In the movie they're showing,
oh, that sounds so cute.
Rocks up and hitting him with sticks, and anyway, just his dream. And everybody, I mean, except his mother didn't tell him he couldn't. But his dad was just sure that he was supposed to be a preacher and he was never going to play baseball. And he squelched his dream for years up until he actually, and he did become a professional baseball player. But it's just this amazing story of perseverance and his perspective and his dream. And he believed that God called him. It's a faith movie. It's awesome. God called him, and the difference that he made in the lives of people. So it was really cool to not give up on your dream. And just because somebody else says you can't doesn't mean you can't. It just means go do it anyway. It really does.
Yeah, mindset, and it's about not giving up. You may have times when you fail. I've at my schedule, like I tell people, I teach time management because it's really not my strength. Okay, but it's becoming my strength, and it's just each step one step at a time. These are things that I try to practice in my own head every single day and try to become better at. ADD does not define me, but it does make it difficult for me to concentrate on things. And so there are those challenges that I have to get around, and I don't give up. I don't say, oh, you know what? I messed up last week and I didn't get everything done that I wanted to. So this week I'm not going to try. It's just each week you try and improve each time. And sometimes you go backwards and sometimes you really fly forwards, and it sets in. And that's what I love about the mindset versus just a box that I check off. It's much easier for me to manage the mindset.
And I think just realizing that is so important, that it is about you and what works for you. Because, I don't have the same challenges that you do. I don't have the same physical challenges that you do. And yet you found what works for you and how to manage things. So you still get the things done that you want to do and that you need to do for work or whatever. And yet you know that you have to build in those cushions for taking care of your health and your garden and those things that you do. And I think sometimes we just don't take that time to look at ourselves. What's going to work for me? I will tell you that doing the same thing every day consistently does not work for me. Okay. Just set a schedule that I'm going to do this thing from 1 to 5 every single day over and over and over. I don't do that well, but I'll still get those things done, being able to place them and how it works better for me. And I think, really looking at yourself and knowing, being real with yourself and not from a perspective of beating up on yourself, but really, okay, this is how I flow better. So do your time in those ways that make you do better. I used to do all my planning at night. When I was younger, man, I put events together. I did from 10 o'clock at night, well, actually starting about 9 when the kids went to bed. And I'd be up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but man, I was so productive. That's not my life anymore. Somehow I just can't focus. I don't know what it is that late at night. So, as things happen in our lives and how we grow, sometimes we have to make those shifts. But I'm not going to say, boy, now I'm a terrible person because I can't stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning, only if I'm having a lot of fun. But, just being real with yourself and having the mindset that it's all okay, that it really is all okay. I think helps a lot.
Yep. We are at the top of our hour and
a little over. Yes, we are. So Lisa, thank you again. Can you say real fast what your five steps were again?
So there's basically have a clear vision, which is know your priorities and focus on value. In other words, get your vision clear. Lose the urgency. Stop struggling.
Stop struggling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Purge the waste.
I do like that. That's a good one right there.
And schedule your escape.
There we are. Now we have them and we're going to do them, right, everybody? All right. So everybody, thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for hanging in with us. We really apologize about the technical difficulties last week. Again, that's one of those things you got to go with the flow. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it does. But there are just those times when it doesn't. And, I don't like that it happens, but you just kind of have to go with it. We had no control. So the technology thing happened, but here we are back this week. We still got the message out there. So, all right. Remember that life is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. And y'all, you can choose to work your time and use this time God gives us every day so that you can have joy at the end of the day and do those 5 steps that Lisa suggests for you. I think it'll make a big difference for you. So go out and make it a great week because it is your choice and we love you. See you next week. Bye now. Take care.